Hello, everyone. If you join us, if you could change your name and put your behind your name, your school or the school system that you are with, we'd appreciate it. We're going to start in about 3 or 4 minutes here, and hope you have your tea or your coffee with you. I have my tea, but I made it just recently, so I can't even drink it. And the presentation is going to be recorded, and so we will post this on the website. I am behind on getting some of that stuff posted, but I will try to get caught up in the next couple of weeks and get it all posted um, as soon as we can. Welcome. I have Kim, if you want to put in the chat a link to the Brewing Conference, I did upload the PDF of the presentation in case we don't have any questions. I did put the PDF up there if they want to. Can't hear you, Kim, you're on mute.
So where do you want this? Which link are you wanting?
The Brewing Confidence link, the one I sent you.
Okay,
And
just making
then,
sure.
yep. And then just put that in chat. And then in the attachments, I did upload this Brewing Confidence. But if we get questions and stuff, then we'll update it and add the questions to the presentation. But I thought maybe somebody might want to look at it. And maybe it would stir some questions. I don't know. Good morning. We are going to start here in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us. The presentation is being recorded. If you weren't notified when you came in, I think Kim has that started already. And when you join us, if you could change your name or rename yourself and just add your school on behind it or the school system that you are with for support. And we would appreciate that. And it is 11 o'clock, and I do like to honor our time and go ahead and get started. There'll probably be some more people that will go ahead and join us as we're talking. The presentation is being recorded. So with that being in mind, I do want to remind people that we are just going to talk about Advisor 101. So it's just kind of basic and broad. So I don't really want to use any student specific conversation today, like with IDs or anything like that, because like I said, this is being recorded. So we want to be sensitive with that. Um, and wow, people are still coming. Okay, so today we are doing the coffee hour. Basically, I hope you have brought your coffee or your tea or something. And we just really want to just have some casual conversations with data stewards. We do have a presentation that we put together um, in case we have no questions, because we didn't really know how many people will come and join us again. And we're happy to see all of you. So thank you so much. That we could use if we needed to, but we're put together just a little, let's see, I get on the right one, a little agenda, and we appreciate you joining us. My name is Stacy Pauling, and I'm with the Nebraska Department of Education in the NDE Service Desk, and I have my co-partner, which is Kim Powell. She is also one of at NDE. We both, if you haven't talked to us before or don't know anything about background from us, we both have education experience and come from school districts. Um, Kim's been around longer than I have been. She has more history of what has been happening with state reporting than I do, but we've both been in, at NDE the same amount of time for about 2 years. And we have been there, done that with, is that the best way to say that, Kim? Been there, done that in your shoes as a
Makes
data
sense to
steward?
me.
Yeah, okay, that's the best way to say that. So that is us. And so what we would like to start with is just kind of an introduction to advisor validation, and then um, have a little bit of coffee hour with questions and conversation. If we don't have a lot of that and we still have some time left, we did put together like some helpful information and some resources that we could review. And maybe that would trigger questions for you guys. A lot of us have just got done with the deadline of October 31st with advisor validation. So I was thinking there would probably be some questions that are not student specific, because I know we all have student specific questions, but some overall questions like why do we do this, or why do this have to be done, and what's the time frame, or things like that. So let's just do a little bit of introduction to advisor. Uh, what is the system? So advisor means advanced data views, improving student educational response. So obviously nobody wants to remember that big long acronym. So that's why we call it advisor. And basically it is Nebraska's customized version of EdFi that's run by NDE. And EdFi is just a national education data standard and collection tool. And multiple states have to collect data, and that's how Nebraska collects our data is through Advisor. And who uses this system is the public districts and special purpose schools are the main people. So you don't see your non-publics or your post-secondaries that are using the system. It's just publics and special purpose. So how does advisor get this data? Well, advisor person ID is going to share the student's name and the date of birth. So it's very important to make sure we're not talking about advisor person ID, but it is make sure to have that information updated in advisor person ID to do your yearly uploads so that information is accurate for the student, but because the student's name and the date of birth is going to be shared into advisor. And when it shares, it's going to use the preferred name first. So if the preferred name is empty in advisor person ID, then it's going to look for the other name, the legal name, and we'll share that information. Um, the school systems then, your your student information systems, they submit the rest of the data. So advisors not going out to your systems to get the information. The student information systems is sending it to advisor. We just accept the data. And you can use SRS. I was going to look up what SRS acronym meant, but I can't remember. Kim, do you know what that means off the top of your head?
I apologize, but no, I don't know if I've
Okay.
ever heard.
Okay. Well, that's a Nebraska thing. And if somebody knows it, please speak up.
Unless
Because,
it's student reporting
oh, Jody
system.
knows it.
Oh,
I see.
student record system, huh?
Student record system.
Oh, so,
Thank
so,
you,
so
Jody.
simple. Thank you. Okay. Um, and it's for special education. And you can you can choose to send the special education data up to advisor using SRS, or you use your SIS system. You cannot use both. You have to choose which program you want to use. So you have to use one or the other. We recently had somebody that was trying to use both, and it just created all kinds of issues. So it has to be one or the other. And for using SRS, it's not going to be able to send the data to advisor if the student doesn't have a demographic record and an enrollment record in advisor already. So it has to have the demographic and the enrollment record in Advisor, and then it can accept the SPED data from SRS. So those are two very important things if you're using SRS. And another piece is how often does Advisor receive the data? Well, that really is all determined by the data stewards and the SIS programs. Every program does it differently. So I can just tell you my experience. We had our SIS set up that whenever a change was made, it would get submitted up to Advisor. Some schools don't do that. They have it set up on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis or a weekly basis, whatever you want to do is totally determined by your SIS program on when the Advisor will receive and update information into Advisor. So how is the data used? Well, it's used in a wide variety of ways, and these are just a few examples that I pulled out of some other presentations that we have talked about, like state aid calculation is a huge thing right now. Nutrition services is a big thing. Assessment rosters. A lot of people are looking over their data right now for the Nebraska education profile. Let's see if I can get it to populate. There it is, which is the NEP that gives us the state records. So a lot of that information is going to be pulled and put into there. So it's very important for that. Um, oh, I wanted it to, sorry about that. Then we have the special education child count, which is that October 1st date, which we are currently working through right now. We have English learners, digital access. I did put a link on this presentation for the advisor calendar, which will give you the specific details of each. You know what? Let's just look at it. I have to get out of here. So there's a link. We're on the 25-26 uh, for advisor validation right down here. This is the follow-up collection that we have already closed, and we were currently working on fall collection, which is closed now. But these were the specific details of what was being collected. So like the student demographic, the special education, the school enrollment, early childhood food program, English learner programs. Those are what the specific data points that were being collected. And then it tells you why we were collecting this and what that data is going to be used for. So this is very helpful guide. And when you're trying to look at your data and trying to decide, okay, what is important and what should I make sure is very accurate at this moment. So I always recommend to use this. And then it has the year end and it has the due dates and it goes into the specific details of what data points are needed to be collected. And then it also tells us what it is that used. There's other information here. There's staff reporting and things like that if you'd like to use for that information. There's also some assessment roster dates on here that is important information to look at too. Um, okay, I don't want to start from the beginning. So, okay, so that's just kind of our overview. Does anybody have any specific questions they'd like to kick off with that we could answer? You can just take yourself off mute if you like. It's going to be quiet. I can continue on. Maybe some of the information that me and Kim put together will be helpful.
I have a question.
Sure.
Um, we received a NDE bulletin, I believe, just yesterday about an upcoming deadline for 24-25 NEP changes.
Sure.
I'm still kind of new to my position, so I'm not real sure what we need to do for this, if anything. Can you explain that?
So sure, I can explain that. So the NEP, which is the Nebraska Education Profile. So if you go onto this website, um, I don't know how many people actually go out there and look at their information, but you can select your school district and you can look at your information it's public. And this is what you're reporting out to the public and anybody can get to this link. Kim, you want to put this link in the chat for them? Uh, so what that bulletin is stating is that if you, what's the best way to say this? There is an application called NEP Secure, and a lot of your administrators have access to it, and they can review the data that's going to be posted on this website. And so if they find data that they don't agree with and they want it to be um, updated, changed, or whatever, then they would have to have a conversation with our developer, Max, or send a late request and say, I don't feel like the cohort rate is right. And then you might have to go through, this is a great example, cohort rate. Um, you feel like that's not right. So then you kind of go digging through your advisor validation stuff and you find out, well, this student was a foreign exchange student and she should have been um, off the cohort. Like we should have transferred her out, not kept her in our cohort. So maybe that student needs an enrollment change so that she gets out of the cohort so she's not counting against you anymore as not a graduate. So those things are what that announcement saying is that the changes, if you want it to be reflected on this website, have to be done by a certain date in that website. It says in the bulletin, like if you want it to be reflected by such and such date, you have to have the request in or whatever steps is needed. Now, depending on the situation, the steps are different, but cohort is one of the big things that we work through. So, um,
The link I just shared is for the public site.
the site,
And
right.
24-25 data is not available to the public yet. The
Mm-mm.
bulletin you received was to review the data before it's open to the public.
Mm-hmm. And your administrator probably has access to the NEP Secure application, which is on wait, is it on Legacy or
It's
is it
in the
on new?
legacy portal.
Yeah, it's in Legacy Portal. I can't remember if it got moved yet.
I get it.
Yep. That was a great question. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other question?
We have a question in the chat from Brittany. Her question is for staff reporting regarding media paras. When I entered one into the NSSRS reporting system, it told me invalid para code. Are we required to report paras?
Okay, so that's a staff reporting question. We will create a ticket and answer that question. Today we're just kind of focusing on advisor, and that is like a very specific staff reporting question, which makes me think that maybe we need to have a staff reporting 101 that we can answer all these questions. Do I hear any other people that would appreciate that? Maybe there's some thumbs up or something.
I think that'd be great.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, we're actually for the next two we kind of haven't decided on a topic, so I think that staff reporting will probably be our next one because staff reporting does stay open all year round. And so it'll be a good conversation on how we use that data. So, okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. We'll do that. Does anybody have a question for advisor? Brittany, we will answer your question. We're just going to put it in a ticket and send it to you.
Actually, she already has a ticket, so I'm just sending a response to her personally right now.
All right, sounds
So.
perfect. Thank you.
Oh, Jennifer would like to know why the FAFSA information is due on November 21st.
Oh, That's a great question too. Okay, so just had a recent conversation with Naomi. She is our supervisor. So that is the FAFSA for not this coming school year. That's for it. I'm assuming you're talking about the FAFSA for bulletin that just came out. It's
Yes.
for the 24-25. Okay.
Yep.
So it's for last school year. Apparently that application took the data from Advisor and they put it in this application. And now we need school districts to verify that that number is accurate. And once you verify that information, um, our team at NDE has to go through this, put together a report, and it's due December 1st in front of the state legislation or commissioners or yeah, it's commissioners, county government. Sorry. Yeah, state legislation. So they have to report out. So they have to get this report and turn it around very quickly. So that's why the date is so short in this verification.
Where's that information at to verify?
It's in an application. It was, Kim, is it in the new portal? I haven't even looked at it yet, to be quite
It's
honest.
a brand new application. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking it's in the new portal, but I'm going to confirm.
Let's,
it is in the new portal, and I have my high school counselor in here with me. This is Jennifer from
Yeah,
Bridgeport.
that was my
Uh-huh.
understanding, but I haven't even looked at it much yet.
Yeah,
Well,
but Kathy said this wasn't required last year. So how can they verify information? I'm kind of like Christine in Norfolk. I'm new to my position this year as well. But Kathy said it wasn't required last year. So how can they verify if the information wasn't required last year? We're kind of confused on that piece.
so this is all a new law that was I don't know,
Mhm.
that was put in place. So I can only tell you what I understand at the moment, and that is basically I can't say it was required or not. I have to go back and look at the NDU website to see if it was required for last school year or not, but majority of the school systems I know submitted the information, and they have to report it out to the state at state level. So
It
we could
was
keep
an error, or it was an error last year if they
yeah,
did not have the student marked as opting out or not.
right. That's what I thought. I thought that they had to have it either marked as opt out or take it.
Uh-huh.
Um, what? Let me see. Do I have? Let's see. This is my. Um.
I'm taking a look too at the details.
Okay, so that kind of explains that a little bit with if Kathy,
Yeah.
they always
I.
mark
I.
it in Power School, and so that would have been uploaded. And then the person who
It
had
parts
my
of it.
position prior to me was the data steward, so she would have corrected those errors.
Right.
I wouldn't have
Yes.
known about it, and Kathy wouldn't have known about it. So
Right.
okay, that explains that.
This is the website I was looking for. Frequently asked questions that for FAFSA. So this would give you like specific data or specific information about like when was it required and all that. So Nebraska law requires all public high schools to submit a FAFSA or opt out as a graduation requirement starting with the graduating class of 2025. So yes, it was required last year.
And
I'm
isn't
gonna
there a link? There's also a link on this site to a place that you can sign up to see if your students took it or not.
I haven't
Remember
used that.
that?
I haven't used that, but I trust you, Kim, because you're very resourceful. So
It's been last year at this time since I looked at it, but I know there's a link, so let me take a peek and I'll put it in the chat when I find it.
yeah. So this is my go-to page. I go to this, I have it bookmarked, and I go to this. And then we decide if it was in the new portal or old portal, and
This
it is
new
in the
thing
new
that
portal.
it's in the new portal.
Yep, on the spreadsheet. It's in
Okay,
the
so
new portal.
yep. One quick question. Kathy said that she has a lot of parents who have the older siblings, and they say, "Oh, I filled it out when I did, his older brothers for college this year. So she should be able to go to that link and make sure
Yes.
they filled it out then for the one that's currently in school.
Yes. Okay. Now it's slowly coming back. Yes, there's a way that you can get that information and you can figure out who has completed it and who hasn't. Um, I remember if you work with some different kind of vendor supports, some of the vendors were going out and getting that information for their schools and they were uploading it into Advisor for their schools. So there's definitely um, that information is available, I guess is what I'm saying, because it will tell you whether it's been submitted or partially submitted or things like that or started. I remember having conversations about that. This is all new for us. We're learning as we go, just like you guys are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions. Is there any other questions? Well, then I'm just gonna do some basic things that we have helped people with as they're starting out, or some things that we were like, wish I would have known that. That would have made my life easier. Um, One of the things that would have made my life easier is the navigating of Advisor. I'm one of the, I was in the past, I was always one of those that just clicked on the NDE logo. And that was, excuse me, how I always went back to the main page. And then I discovered when I worked here that they have the hamburger in the corner. And I was actually going to log in. So let me see. I'm going to pull this over here and log in real quick, and then I'll bring it back. Here we go. Let's see if I can do my password on a fly really quick. All right. So this is my, I don't know why I wasn't smart enough to figure this out earlier, but I wasn't until I saw somebody. But there's this, I always saw these lines, didn't know what these lines were for, but they're we call them the hamburger lines. And so you can switch between screens a lot quicker than always going back to using the icon. So because this will take it, the icon always just took me back to my home screen. But if I use the hamburger, I could go to the actually specific screen that I was looking at. So it just is, I'd rather be more efficient with my clicks. So that was one thing that I was like, oh, I wish somebody would have showed me that a long time ago. So that was my little tip. And then we have the left-hand side menu, um, which is useful that you could use, which stores, gonna take a while. The left menu has like a list, just like the hamburger list that you can click on, that you can get to specific screens. And that's taking a while to load. I don't have that much time, I guess. No, not time, patience. Um, and then the other thing is people struggle with is when you are changing, if you work with a variety of different school systems, when you want to change your district or your school year, you have to select the school system and then hit the select button. Or if you change your school year, you have to hit the select, because if you don't hit the select, it will stay in whatever school year you have it. For example, um, where it'll automatically default to 25, 26. So if you wanted to look at 24, 25, you have to hit the select, or it won't pull up that data. So it has to basically reset itself. And then there's also the contact that you can submit a ticket from. Never knew that you could actually submit a ticket from. Oh, it kicked me out. Oh, there it goes. So Kim, why can I not find the contact?
Oh,
There it is.
there it is. Sorry.
It's in the hamburger menu. Like, where did it go? So it's in the hamburger menu, and it will use your email, and it will create a ticket, and it'll submit it straight from there. I'm not in the right proper browser for all that to work from on my computer right now. So those were some aha moments that we had and that we would share with those with you. And some other things that me and Kim have learned and definitely use it a lot more now that we are in the role that we are. But we wish we would have been more fluid with it when we were data stewards, is the student lookups and advisor. Because these lookups will help you try to problem solve. Because remember, advisor's not going to your SIS to grab information. Your SIS is sending it to us. So sometimes the SIS struggles to send us information. One of the things that we had several people struggle with was getting like some special education records into advisor as I spill my tea into advisor. And so the one thing that we use up a lot is the enrollment lookup by ID. And this will show you a history of the entire enrollment. So as long as you have the ID for a student, you can put it in the enrollment lookup and it's going to pull up the entire history of the student. So as long as they've attended a Nebraska public school system or a special purpose school, you're going to be able to see that in the history. If it's not your district or not, you can still see, okay, they were here and then they went here and then they transferred here and then they transferred here and then they went back here. So it kind of gives you a history of the actual student. So that's a quick way to look up, and especially if you're trying to determine, um, like who do I need to talk to about maybe some records or assessment records or whatever like that. Like that will help you kind of figure out where the student has been. And the other thing that we use a lot to help us determine if the advisor has received data is the student lookup by ID. And this is only going to show you your student. So you have to have the student enrolled at your district to look at the information. But it will show you exactly. So if you have let's use special education. If you have an error that says the special education record is missing and you go to SRS and it says it's published and you're like, it's there. But we don't really know for sure, right? Because we have the error and we don't understand because it says yes in SRS. Well, you can look in the student lookup by ID and it's going to show us the demographic. It's going to show us the enrollment record, and it will go through every data point and it will say special education. And if there's special education, it's going to populate all the information in that record. If there's no special education record, it will say no special education record. So then we know that advisor has not received that record. So SRS and advisor having a little bit of miscommunication. And so SRS is where you need to go back and try to get it into advisor. So that is how we problem solve to look for like early childhood records, English learner records, food service records. It's just a lot of way that we can see the student specific data right there, and we know what is in advisor. You can also go and see for the past years. So we could change our school year and we can change it to 24-25. We can put in that lookup by ID and we can see what was reported and what was accepted. In some of those records, especially now, the SPED record, the enrollment record, the demographic record, off the top of my head, I know have modified dates on it that will say last modified on October 25th, whatever. And if you know like SRS or like the SPED record, like it had to be in there by June 30th. So if you have changed it on October, that none of those changes are in the locked data. because that data is already locked. It had to be done by June 30th. So any changes after June 30th, it's not in there. So then you're like, okay, now what? So what do we have to do to get this fixed? So those are the things that will help you kind of figure out where the issue is and what needs to be done in the next steps. So those are two things that I wish I would have known a little bit more about and utilized them more when I was doing state reporting in your guys' shoes.
Okay, we have another question.
Sure,
One I answered because it was just about signing up for the bulletin or two, and so I just put the link in there and a little
sure,
explanation of how. But also put the FAFSA stuff in the chat as well.
sure.
This question is from, and I'm having trouble reading the name because it looks like it's shortened. And so she says she works with English learner data and that they have noticed their 2-year plus former EL students are shown as not applicable instead of redesignated as English fluent. And our enrollment lookup by ID, who can I talk to about this? And the name on the question is EHERNAA number 0, number 11. So I don't know who that is. It looks like an email.
Okay. So I'm not for sure. Maybe Kim, you understand EL a lot better than I do. So do you understand her question?
This is Alicia Hernandez. I work in Omaha Public Schools. I work in
Okay.
the
Okay.
English language learners program.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I've been trying to figure it out, and I'm not quite sure how to fix it or who to reach out to.
Okay. So at first, I'm trying to understand your question. So when you look in the student lookup, you're seeing,
When I search up a student who, for example, my son, he was exited from English Learners Program 2 years ago in 2023. When I look him up now, it says not applicable for English learner
okay,
status. In the past
okay,
or previous years, it used to tell me redesignated as English fluent, and it would
right,
give me that status until my student would graduate high school.
right.
But now it just says not applicable.
Okay, so now I
Thank
know.
you.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. So basically, a redesignated student has to be marked redesignated every single school year. So depending on how your SIS is set up, it has to be reported that way. So some SIS don't report it, automatically roll it over. So you would have to make sure that is marked that way. So once they're redesignated in your school system, they have to stay that way until they leave your school system. So if they're redesignated when they're in second grade and don't leave until they're a senior, they'll stay redesignated all those years. And you'll have to keep reporting them that way. And if you don't, then you'll get an error. And if the student lookup is saying you have them marked in your SIS and the student lookup is still saying not applicable, then that's a conversation with your SIS support and saying, okay, we have it marked here, but advisor's not receiving it. So what
Okay.
is going on? How do I resolve this situation? When it comes to SIS support, we don't have the knowledge that to support you on that. So we will always refer you back to your SIS support.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great question. All right, so the next lookup I'm going to talk about is the student lookup by demographics. So um, you can choose different types of windows and look up your students as demographics. We wrote in here like it works like advisor verification reports. So you can use today, full year, as of October 1st. I do want to remind you that today is going to show you exactly what it looks like as of today. So if you would pull the report to as of November 4th, it's going to show you exactly what it is as of November 4th. And you can select a bunch of different data points to make your report more specific to you. I think this is one of Kim's reports she uses. Did you used to use this report, Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because it works pretty slick. I found it really helpful for special education students. Because you could see how many you had with certain verifications, etc.
Okay, good example. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
And we also have student special education lookup where you can again create your own little reports and have very specific information. And then we do it with student programs lookups too. So those are those that if you have somebody that has access to it and are just very focused on like special education, they could just use these lookups. Another popular one that I wanted to focus on was the graduation cohort lookup by student ID. Um, right now, it's not active in the 25-26 school year. It will be in about a week or two. So you would need to move your year back to the 24-25 school year, and it's an active link there. And you can look at the cohort of any student that you have the ID. So if you have the student ID, even if it's a transfer student that's coming in and you don't have all the information, but you want to get it started, as long as you have the ID, you can put it in there and it's going to tell you the cohort that that student is in. And it gives you the details of the student ID. It gives you the graduation cohort year, the student's name, the grade, when they were determined, by who they were determined, and then the environment. Now, this information is helpful when we were talking about like NAP Secure or NAP, the Nebraska Education Profile. You're looking up at cohorts, like trying to figure out who did set this cohort. Was it our district or was it another district? This is great information because if that student is attending your school, but you weren't the one that set the cohort, you have to reach out to the school system that set the cohort to get any of the cohort changes. So this report is very helpful for you to help figure out that information and how the cohort was set. Um, well, okay. I was like, did I skip? No, I didn't. Um, I just want to jump down. Since we're talking about cohort, I just want to kind of keep talking about cohort. So I'm going to jump down to cohorts in our presentation down to the slide number 22 if you're following along. So the cohort is set the first year a student is enrolled at Nebraska school system or special purpose. So in high school. So let's say I'm just going to make a scenario of it. So I'm just going to say my son, and we just moved to Nebraska, and he is a junior, and it's the first time that he's attended a high school in a Nebraska school system as a 11th grader. So that is the year that his cohort's going to be set, is that year because it was his first year. Now my other son, we've lived here for a while, and he starts in ninth grade. Then that's going to start set in his ninth grade year as his cohort. So it's the first year the student is enrolled. So we have situations where maybe they thought they were coming as a ninth grade and then they got maybe held back. They went to another district and they got enrolled as an eighth grade and then the grade kind of bounces back and forth. Well, what's going to happen is when you look at their enrollment lookup, because remember you can look at anybody's or the whole complete history, whenever that first year enrollment as ninth grade, that's when it's going to be set. So that school district is the one that is setting it. And all that information is determined and told in the graduation cohort lookup by ID. So after the cohort is set, which is the first year, so if all ninth graders right now, let's just use ninth graders right now, we're going to set it in 25-26. That information is not locked until the end of the year, so June 30th. So if you have a 10th grader or 11th grader and they have the wrong cohort on, you can go in 25-26 as long as it's their first year in a Nebraska school system and it hasn't been set you can go in there and you can adjust it. If it has been set already, then you would have to have a request for it to be changed. We also had a recent conversation that you can change the expected graduation year. So that's the field that sets the cohort. So let's say we set it as a ninth grade, but then in the 10th and 11th grade, we see that they're not going to graduate when we thought they were. So we wanted to change that field. You can go ahead and change it, but it's not going to affect the lock data. It's going
It
to stay the same
it won't affect that graduation cohort beyond their first year that they
first
were
year.
enrolled with you or in ninth grade.
Yep. No.
We do have a question about what environment means.
That's a great question. Basically, it says NDE behind it, all the ones that I spot checked. So it said NDE. So I think the environment means it's coming from advisor. So great question. Um, so let's say you've gone through and you see that there's a foreign exchange student and we need to, make some changes or something like that with the cohort. You would need to make a request, which is the graduation cohort resolution request, and it's located in the CDC, which is the Consolidated Data Collection. Um, some data stewards have access to that, some don't. They have to ask for their administrator to submit the request for them. If you don't have access, you would need an activation code to get access to this collection. It is located in the legacy portal at this time. And a graduation cohort resolution request is only needed for 9th through 12th grade students. We don't need it for any other student age group. So we only use it for high school students. And we can make changes to enrollment, like adding or changing the exit or withdrawal date. Maybe we need to change the grade. Remember that example where I said they thought it was coming as ninth grade and then we went to someplace else in eighth grade and they kind of went back and forth. So maybe we need to change the grade level. So we can do that through the cohort resolution. Let's see. Or if you just need to change the cohort, we can do that too. And when you could go and fill out the request, there's lots of different, I think there's 4 or 5 different like request selections, and you just need to select whatever is best fit. The advisor errors in it don't always match up, so just whatever best fits your student situation, just do your best guess, and then we'll work through it. So it's fine. I'm going to tell you that we are in the process of rewriting it. I don't know when that's going to get released, but we are in the process of rewriting it and making it a little bit easier to complete. No request is needed. I send this already. If it is the first year and the cohort is being set their first year, it is you can adjust it. So I've already had a couple cohort requests and it was being set right now in the 25-26 school year. You can just go in your SIS and just change it. And if we get a request, that's fine. We understand. We'll just tell you that you can go in your SIS and change it and then resend that information to advisor and we'll just close the request. Is there any questions with graduation cohort? Because I know there's a lot of talk about that right now. We're getting a lot of them. I will tell you that we have a lot of cohort requests at the moment, and we are just trying to work through everything the best we can at this time, and we are working through them as fast as we can.
We may want to clarify
Sure.
when a graduation cohort request is the proper thing rather than just a late request. So in other words, like if you're doing an enrollment, if you're asking for an enrollment update, whether it should be a grad cohort request or a late request.
Yeah, so enrollment would be a grad cohort request for a high school student. But if you have to change well, let's say Jamie Chambers has can't contacted you recently and she wants the SPED information changed. That is not a grad cohort request. That is a late request for SPED, no, advisor SPED data. That's what the title's called, advisor SPED data. So, and if you're not for sure, send us a ticket. We'll be more than happy to help you and guide you through that process.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So if we get a student in who didn't earn enough credits and they came in from another state and we are classifying them as a junior,
Sure.
do
This is
we put the first date they started ninth grade as what they
so
actually started, or do we adjust the cohort?
so that is a question for, I mean, that is something that the district would have to figure out that is kind of a student specific situation. And that is something that we would advise the district to figure out what you'd want to do. I
I
mean,
guess what are the pros and cons? Because
um,
like,
um,
does it show up like if we put their cohort, so say it's somebody that should be a senior, but they don't have enough credits to be considered a senior, do you put them in their junior year or
so
do you leave
again,
them a senior?
we don't advise on what grade you're going to enroll your students. That is a conversation between you and your family and your administration. So we don't say you have to put them in this grade or you have to do that. That's not something that the ND service desk is going to tell you. That's a
So the date
conversation.
they first entered high school can change?
So basically, when I say first date they enter high school is whatever you are submitting to advisor as their first year of high school. So if you've decided that this is their first year and at a Nebraska public school system and you're the district and you say we're enrolling them as a 10th grader, then we're going to use as 10th grade as the first year in high school.
Okay.
Normally, typically right now it's like, oh, ninth grade, we just set all the cohorts. But some students don't start in Nebraska school system as ninth graders. So then we're like, okay, it's the first year that you start in high school. And whatever grade that is for that student that you just told us is what the cohort will be set at. And
Okay.
you're the one that puts the cohort in the graduation. What is it called? The graduation expected year. You're the one that
Yep.
set it. So sometimes sometimes it's set defaulted. Like we had ours defaulted, like every student that enrolled that year, it just automatically, like right now it'd be 2026. So then if you had a kid that was enrolled in and he started 11th grade, he's not going to enroll, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to be
Because I
right.
was under the impression we weren't supposed to make changes to that.
You're not, we don't recommend it, but it has been conversation that you can do it, but it won't
Okay.
change the lock data.
Okay. Thank
It'll just be
you.
changed in your sys. And sometimes we get errors on it too when they do that in the graduation cohort GCAT tool. You remember that, Kim?
Yeah, or it will give you a warning sometimes
Sometimes, yeah,
age is out of range for the expected grade level or
grade level.
expected range,
Yep.
but it is a district decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Good conversation. All right. Well, I see that we have 10 more
Okay.
minutes left. So
And
did we have any questions?
a question is, we're going to post the entire slide presentation and everything, correct?
Yes, I have it posted as is now. Um, I will go back through the recording and try to capture questions and put information in the PowerPoint too, if I have time. But right now, as it is now, it is posted already on the website. Is there any other questions? If not, I will go to advisor errors here in this section. Okay. So advisor errors, kind of talked about that. They're categorized by domains. We recommend that you prioritize the domains, especially at the beginning of the school year. To start with those prior school year ones, because some of those can take a little bit to get corrected. Kind of depends on the time of the year when you're going to look at them. Uh, we also, as a data steward, and Kim did too, we would utilize our team. So we weren't the only ones that were in charge of the data that's being submitted to advisor. We would go to our team. So special education, we would export the information out of the verification reports and we would hand it over to our special education director and say, is this information accurate? Another one, big one that I would do would be the option in and option out kids. I would export those reports out and I would share that with the district office and say, is this information right? Um, and then they would go through it and they would contact, whatever school in the C. Is this person still, we haven't received the option or canceled or cancellation or however, all that steps that goes with that. So I wasn't the only one that was looking at the data. So we really encourage you to make sure that you have other people helping you and supporting you and using the verification reports and exporting them out to Excel. And that you can do the same thing with the advisor errors. You can export that out and say, okay, I have all these special education errors. Here's the error. Here's the students. I don't have access to SRS. Can you help me out and figure out what's going on? You could pass that on and share that information. There's also levels of the error. We have critical, which would need to be fixed, and or have to be fixed. And then we have error, which need to be fixed, and then we have warnings, which is saying, hey, this doesn't look exactly right. We just need you to review this and make sure this is right. And so then you would just review it. Sometimes those warnings are resolved, and sometimes you just write a comment in it and then they just stay. And you can archive them if you'd like. The errors do have descriptions. We recommend that you read them all, the details. A lot of the times the fixes are in the descriptions that will tell you how you can fix the error and give you some guidance on that. We also have the error summary down here. So if you get a email from early childhood and they say, I don't even know if this error number is right, but I'm just going to grab it, 413, and they're like, we need, ND Early Childhood has contacted you and said, we need you to look at error 413, and you're like, I don't even know where that's at. You can click on the error summary. I bet I am. I bet I'm, yeah, I'm logged out.
Timed out.
Yep, I timed out. You can click on the error summary and you can put in the error code number and it will populate an information about it. It will tell you the error number, the description, and the domain and the level of the error. So that's a quick way to look at it. We also have the advisor validation help site that you can click on this. So if you have 546 is a hot error that a lot of people have reached out to us, you can put that in there and you can pull it up and it will give you the same thing, error description details and the fix. And it'll give you some guidance that way. So this is, honestly, I use this website all the time. And we are slowly getting this all written. Not all the errors are on here, but we are slowly in our quiet time, which we haven't had much lately, getting them written and getting it updated as fast as we can. Then you can put comments in, and this is a great way to communicate with NDE to tell us, hey, this is the student, this warning is everything is okay. We have reviewed it and it's fine. And you can put those comments in. I've also seen comments used for people within the districts. So and so is looking at this error and they will get back to us or whatever. Or this ticket has been created. Here's the ticket number with NDE. So it's a great way to utilize that. Wish I would have done that more when I was a data steward to communicate with other people. Not that, or just to remind myself of what the situation was going on with the student. So that is a good way. And then I'm going to stop there because we only have 4 minutes left and
Yep, and
I'm
we're
not going to
getting
try to rush
questions
it.
rolling in too.
Okay, so we have 4 minutes left. We will answer the questions the best we can in the next 4 minutes.
The
What you
first
got,
one
Kim?
that came in is from Michelle at Beatrice. So any prior school year's errors, we have to put in a late request
No.
to after we are to fix it in order to fix it. I think it depends upon the late request, but I haven't
Yeah,
gotten that far yet.
yeah. So that all depends on the error. All depends on the late request. Some of the errors are just stating, "Hey, you enrolled them. Um, you enrolled them last year. They were there all year. You said they were continuing on the next school year, but I don't see a record, an enrollment record at your school for this new school year. So maybe you just need to treat them as a summer transfer and they just need an enrollment record. And then you just transfer them out if they were a summer transfer or the enrollment record just didn't get it submitted into advisor. The 546 error, there are very few who have a late request with that one anymore, unless you have been contacted with NDE Special Education Department, and Jamie Chambers will let you know if you need one. But most of those can be resolved in the current school year by enrollment records and treating them as summer transfers. What other are prior year ones? A lot of the prior years can be resolved in the current school year, but they just need to be attention to because you want to make sure that they get resolved right away.
And did you include that link to the advisor validation help website in these slides?
Yes, it's in the slide. I'll put it in
That's
the
what I thought.
yep, it's in the slide, but I will
Say we
drop a link in the chat real quick if they want to grab it from there. There we go. Got that. All right, 1 minute. What can you do in 1 minute, Kim?
that covered everything that was in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. So we want to thank everyone for coming. We are so thankful that you guys have joined us. We hope that this helps. If you have further questions, please reach out to us and a ticket. One tip that we were going to share in the PowerPoint that we put is that if you have student specific situations and you want your ticket to be answered on a quickly basis, please add the student ID. For that so that we can do our research and be able to provide you with guidance. If you have topic suggestions, please give us a shout and a ticket and we'll go from there. But thank you for joining us. Please watch for the next NDE bulletin. Sounds like it's going to be Staff Reporting 101 and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.